So one, two, three, four. Well, I can't help it, baby. I just can't stand still. I was born to wander, and I probably always will. Better love me now. You know I won't be here long. Out yonder is calling, and I gotta be moving on. Guess I was born with a restless soul. Honey, I'd like to stay with you, but you know I gotta go. I'll see you next time I come back around. 'Cause baby, you know I'm a wandering man. Don't know where I'm headed, but I ain't lost my way. Ain't worried about tomorrow, busy living for today. Don't worry about me, baby. Don't let it get you down. If the world keeps turning, honey, I'll be right back around. Guess I was born with a restless soul. Honey, I'd like to stay with you, but you know I gotta go. I'll see you next time I come back around. 'Cause baby, you know I'm a wandering man. Guess I was born with a restless soul. Honey, I'd like to stay with you, but you know I gotta go. I'll see you next time I come back around. 'Cause baby, you know I'm a wandering man. 'Cause baby, you know I'm a wandering man. 'Cause baby, you know I'm a wandering man. Yes, I am. So one, two, three, four. Well, I can't help it, baby. I just can't stand still. I was born to wander, and I probably always will. Better love me now. You know I won't be here long. Out yonder is calling, and I gotta be moving on. Guess I was born with a restless soul.
Welcome to the Simmons Says Show here from Studio 605. I am Jeff Simmons, your host, and Mud Bums, presenting sponsor of the Simmons Says Show, will be opening up here in about 25 minutes. So if you don't have lunch plans already, make sure to plan to go over there on Northgate Drive. Go see Mud Bums Family Sports Grill and get a nice $10 lunch, or you can get a meat and three over there. I mean, it's Tuesday. I think it's Ham Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. I know that Mud Bums menu pretty well, and let's just be honest. If you're really going to go over there, go big. Go Jeff's Jumbo Nachos. I don't know what Jeff they named that after. Actually, I absolutely do. I am the Jeff that they named that after, and I hope everybody will enjoy that. If that's too much food for you, then just get you a little $10 lunch, get you a little chicken tenders or anything like that. But again, Mud Bums is the presenting sponsor of the Simmons Says Show, and that is 507-2867. That is 507-BUMS. Hope everybody's enjoying their Tuesday morning. If you're getting your Tuesday morning started with the Simmons Says Show, then hit the share button for me. Hit the like button, get into the comment section, and let us know about it. I am going to be doing a quick Simmons 2 cents, because there's a couple topics that I want to hit on. No blind man when it comes to that. And then we're going to get straight into a good talk with James Bennett, who just has showed up and is going to be making his Studio 605 debut. Very excited to talk to Coach. I'm sure he's going to have a lot of good stories for us and a lot of things that he can tell us about everything that's going on in Warren County. It's been going on in Warren County for a long time, man. Coach Bennett's got some stories. All right, so quick. Simmons 2 cents. There's two topics, so 2 cents, 1 cent for each one of them. That's how that's going to work out. That I wanted to hit on. One, I saw this garbage. I called it garbage, about Tennessee being the worst state to live in. Listen, I've only lived in one state, and it's been Tennessee my entire life. There is no way you can convince me that Tennessee is the worst state in the country to live in. I've been to the other states, Connor. Your thoughts on this? I saw it. I think it was a CNBC list, which I was like, yeah, okay. Yeah, it's no wonder Tennessee's probably going to rank pretty low on that one, but
there's lots we can improve on.
Of course, everybody can.
And as long as we acknowledge that,
yeah,
then I think we'll be okay.
The problem that I had with it was, if Tennessee's such a terrible state to live in, why do we keep having more and more and more people move to Tennessee? Maybe, are they the ones that are making it the worst state to live in?
I think a large part of it is it's people that, like, would be considered, like, California middle class,
mm-hmm.
and realize, hey, there's no state income tax in Tennessee. And they already don't care about any of the other statistics. They've got a lot of money.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that I don't disagree with that, but I mean, the thing to me is I just saw that, I'm like, there's no way. I mean, yes, everybody, and we have James Bennett here. We can talk to him about. We're always going to try to improve education. There's always housing market. There's always going to be more things that you're going to get into there. But I was like, Tennessee's a quality state, and it's going to the living. I think cost wise, we're probably. What, median? I would say. I don't know, Connor. We've had this discussion before.
The problem is that nationwide, as far like if you're going to talk about housing,
mm-hmm.
is ridiculous. There is a bill passing or has passed that forces corporations to not buy single family residents.
Yep.
And they have to sell off their surplus.
Yep.
So that may be getting fixed.
Yep.
Like start of the next year.
Yeah, and I get that there's, I know some of it was said that, the job force and the labor force has not a lot of rights. That I guess we don't have a lot of unions in Tennessee.
Yeah, unions.
I know we're at will state, but
like, I think primarily the thing they brought up. Hey, look, there's our stream.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's a lot of workers' rights. Education was one of the big things they pointed out in the statistic.
Yeah.
And then just the housing and income to housing prices ratio.
Yeah. And Drew Walker also said, he said, "What are you doing? Don't encourage people to move there. I mean, Tennessee's a terrible state, horrible place to live." Yeah, I mean, if everybody wants to take that as the gospel and not move to Tennessee, Connor might actually find a house here in the next year or two.
Well, and here's one of the other things too. I don't agree with everything that Tennessee does.
No,
but I still really like Tennessee as a whole. I think it's a gorgeous state.
Yeah,
and for the most part, it has good people in it.
Yeah.
Now, there's a few assholes I don't like that live in Tennessee.
Name them. No.
Jeff Simmons.
Name 5.
The other guy.
I don't disagree with that, man.
I'll start with my list of employers. Or former.
That's a good place to start.
Yeah, but look, there's bad parts about everywhere you go.
Yep.
And I mean, there's a lot of stuff, especially in the South as far as education is concerned, that we just got to get better at.
And we're going to keep trying to work and get better. And I know that the school board's trying to do that. Our local school board, our states, and I get that EFA is a really big topic right now, and what we're doing and what we're going to put in school. But kids are there. I saw that, and the first thing that I saw that I was like, come on, give me a break with some of this. I was like, I'm out on this list that we're the worst state. But if you think that we're the worst state, by all means, don't come to Tennessee. We're good. We'll be all right. I like where we're at, and I love where I live. So that was my first thing. I saw that. It just irked me because I was like, there's no way Tennessee's the worst state to live. I was like, Alaska has like times where you don't even see the sun for a month.
Yeah, but it's Alaska.
30 days a night.
Those vampires are a big problem up there.
Yeah. Even though I think I'd fare well in Alaska.
I mean, you do look like a seal, so you just might want to be careful about going to like more Inuit areas. Yeah, what happened to Jeff? He got clubbed to death.
I look like a seal. That was number 1. Number 2, and I'm going to make this really quick, was on the road. A fair staple over the last few years. We had a story on the Warren County Way, Lisa Hobbs wrote it, where I think that it might be getting edged out because we have more pageants coming in. And there's some people that are fired up about it. I was on Warren First yesterday, Kelly Walker Slaughter, who did a tremendous job. Hey, when she says Warren First, here's what I would say. First place when it comes to forums, because goodness gracious, I watched her thing on Friday night and had, I think it's over 10,000, 11,000, 12,000 views now. It's the biggest, most watched forum that I've seen in Warren County. So great job by her making Warren First and doing a great job with that. And again, she mentioned it on her show that she's a big fan of On the Road, and it doesn't sound like they're going to do it this year. Then I looked at, and Lisa had written a story about it. Some people are fired up about On the Road, and they're fired up because we lose this because of pageants on there. Well, I don't have a big take on this because I wouldn't be in either one of them. I wouldn't do On the Road, and I definitely wouldn't be doing a pageant, so I don't have a huge fight about this. But if you really want On the Road to happen at the fair, I think there has to be a way. Now maybe it's not on the main stage, but there's side stages. Connor, you've been on the side stages over there.
I have been on the side stages. I also have no idea what this On the Road thing is.
Yeah. Here's my thing. If it's that big and it's that popular and everybody wants to see it, go be on a side stage, bring the entire crowd over there, and they'll realize, hey, this is going to be main stage next year.
And also just don't pageant yourself out, because starting the week after the fair.
What's that?
Is the misdemeanor pageant.
It's the misdemeanor pageant. Yeah,
Come out.
Don't get too crazy with all these pageants that week. Yeah, I thought that I saw that and I was like, I mean, I've never been to On the Road, and so it's lip syncing songs as people dress up. It's not it's karaoke, but I don't think they're doing karaoke. I think it's more like what was that show that everybody came out and danced?
Oh, lip sync battle.
Yeah, lip sync battle.
Yeah,
I think that's kind of what it is.
See, I didn't even know this was a thing. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I took pride in the fact I hadn't been to the fair in like 8 years.
Yeah, we're gonna send you On the Road if it happens this year.
Okay,
I think you need to go over there and film.
Can I be a judge?
Yeah. Well, On the Road will be maybe the JK show.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, the Jeff and Kelly show might be at the fair this year. I've heard the rumors have already begun.
I wish y'all had started that on April 1st.
Well, the rumors have already gone. So we might. I told her yesterday. I said if we can't get on the road on the main stage at night, I said why don't we just do JK show and just have on the road throughout the week? Why don't we have 2 or 3 performers come on every single day, and maybe we could do that and put that out there, and then we'll be we could have people that end up. We could be the judges, even though I think Kelly wants to be a part of it.
And Jeff, I know that
should me and Kelly just finish the week by doing Islands in the Stream?
that would be great. But you have to do your solo one you talked about earlier.
What was that?
Straight out of Compton.
And on that note, that is the end of the Simmons 2 cents for this week. Again, Mud Buns, presenting sponsor of the Simmons Says Show. If you want to be a sponsor of the Simmons Says Show, reach out to our page or give me an email, send me an email, wcsportsauthority@gmail.com. We're going to reset right now, and then when we come in, we're going to get serious. We're going to have a nice conversation with Coach James Bennett, also Principal James Bennett, also School Board Representative James Bennett, all the same person. And he's going to be in the studio in just a minute. So, hey, hit that share button. Let everybody know that you're going to be watching James Bennett on the Simmons Says Show here at Studio 605. We'll be right back.
Well, I can't help it, baby. I just can't stand still. I was born to wander and I probably always will. Better love me now. You know I won't be here long. Out yonder is calling and I gotta be moving on. Guess I was born with a restless soul. Honey, I'd like to stay with you, but you know I gotta go. I'll see you next time I come back around. 'Cause baby, you know I'm a wandering man. Don't know where I'm headed, but I ain't lost my way. Ain't worried about tomorrow, busy living for today. Don't worry about me, baby. Don't let it get you down. If the world keeps turning, honey, I'll be right back around. Guess I was born with a restless soul. Honey, I'd like to stay with you, but you know I gotta go. I'll see you next time I come back around. 'Cause baby, you know I'm a wandering man. Guess I was born with a restless soul.
All right, welcome back to the Simmons Says Show here from Studio 605. Again, hope everybody's enjoying all the content that we've been putting out. If you haven't seen it already, go back and watch last night's show where we did our first coaches show of the year, brought in Coach Eric Ballou, whose Pioneers will be getting started in August at DeKalb County, and also brought in former Pioneer quarterback and then college coach Michael Thrower, who's going to be helping us throughout the year with our Pioneer coverage, especially football coverage, maybe a little basketball coverage here and there as well. Mike did a great job last night. But right now, we're going to get back. Hey, if we're going to get into coaching, we're going to get, and that might be the theme of the week here, folks, is talking to Pioneer coaches or former Pioneer coaches, because we have Coach James Bennett in the studio. Coach, how's it going, man?
Good morning. I'm glad to be here. I always watch your show every Wednesday, and
Yep.
I'm thrilled that y'all have it going. And to me, it's always interesting to know what y'all are going to say, especially Sullins. You never know what's going to come out of him, you know. And but that's old coaching stuff, you know. And just like you coach, Sullins coached, and if you've been in the business, it's kind of diehard. You're just right there at it. But I'm glad to be here with you today.
Oh yeah, well you find out really quickly who bleeds a little bit of red, white, and blue when it comes to the show, especially the Sports Authority on Wednesday night. Sullins is that way, and I know you're that way. In fact, you were just telling me that we were talking about the studio and some of the stuff that we have in here, and then I think some of the stuff right behind you probably is the most relics of the time. We have some starter jackets and everything from the 70s and 80s. But you were telling me you had like one of the first little I don't know if it was a sketch or a print of the interlocking WC. When did all that get started?
That started back in if I remember correctly, back in the late 70s, and it was an interlocking WC that came through the old Athletic Den sports store, and we even they even had some plaques, and it had an interlocking WC on it, and I had one of them. And a few years back, I asked Todd Wilmore, who was one of our former players, former quarterbacks on the football team, and I gave it to him. Put in his office or either, home, because I felt like it needed to be passed on. But it was the interlocking WC has been here a long, long time. It's always something that people, I always thought that people wore it, took a lot of pride.
Yep.
And, where it's athletes or just supporters or coaches or whatever, if you wear that WC, you've got to be a pioneer. I mean, dead hard pioneer.
Yeah. Well, when did you first become a pioneer? Like to take people back to when you started in Warren County.
I started in Warren County in 1973.
Okay.
I started at Warren County Junior High School. I taught classroom for 16 years.
Wow.
And at that time at Warren County Junior High School, I came in as an assistant football coach to Wayne Williamson on the freshman team. Back then, the junior high school was 7, 8, 9 grades.
Yep.
And later on, Coach Williamson left and went to be principal at Dibble.
Okay.
And I took over as the head freshman football coach at that time. And I can't remember exactly what year it was, but I stayed there. And then Bobby Newby came to McMinnville.
Oh.
And he came over one day and he said, I have an assistant job open. I'd like for you to come over at the high school and help me.
Yeah.
It's one of the best moves I ever made. I'm going to tell you, he was one of the toughest guys that on his staff and on his players that I've ever been around. Super, super knowledgeable. And we went over there. I went over there, and it was me and Bobby Hale and Gary Rankin and Bobby Newby.
Yeah.
And it was a good staff, and I know that
that's a who's who, man.
Yeah,
that's a who's who
and
of coaches.
and later on we had people that was there after Gary left. We had Ed Cantrell helped us for a while, the late Ed Cantrell, who played ball at UT.
Yep.
And I mean that brought just more knowledgeable. And he had actually been a coach himself in Grundy County. He'd actually coached at Morehead State. And I mean the knowledgeable that was on that you learn. Yeah. The greatest thing about athletics is getting in there and learn and knowing that you can help your kids to be better than what they are. And I remember one time that I was told by you learn from other coaches as well. You have to set up your offenses and defenses, no matter if it's football, basketball, or whatever, to what your kids can do, not what you want to do.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
a lot of young coaches, when they come out, they have a lot of that pea and vinegar in them, and they have this wild ideal, I'm going to do this, and you wind up getting a lot of L's instead of a lot of W's. I think it's funny, but you have to learn that.
Oh yeah, you got to adapt it to what the kids can do. I mean, it's great if you want to be the air raid offense, but it doesn't really matter that much if you don't have the kids that can execute it. If you got a hard nosed team that can run the ball, you got sometimes just got to run the ball when it comes to that. You were talking about that coaching staff and going and being on that staff, and obviously had a really good run there for a while. I've heard some stories. I mean, do you have some really fun stories from back in the day? Because I know that Bobby Newby was a as you said, hard nosed, gritty coach. Do you ever have some sideline antics that you were like, wow, this even.
Well,
even
I know
you were
one.
like, "Woo."
I know. I'll tell you. I know one night him and I went to Scout Lebanon.
Okay.
Because they were back then. It was the old district where you had Lebanon, Riverdale, Oakland, and Cookville, and Sparta, and we went down to Scout Lebanon, and we had got up there in the stands and sat down, and the first quarter was ended, and he said, "Well, let's go," and I said, "We haven't seen them punt. We don't know how far they can punt the ball. We don't, we haven't seen enough." I said, let's go. Of course, he's the head coach. I said, let's go. We got an automobile and headed home. And I said, I'm just curious about why you said this. He said, they can't beat us.
Yeah.
And when the game was over at that time, it was like 50-something to 6.
Yeah.
Because, he knew that. And, he would motivate athletes if they did the wrong thing. Where it's a blocking assignment or whatever, if they missed assignment, when they would come off the field, they would go down around and they wouldn't come close to him. That's just the way it was. I can remember one time that he got on the field.
Yeah.
Two situations, and he made them all line up in a circle. And they were in full pads. He said, "Come and get me." And they all looked like you're going. I said, "Go get him."
Yeah.
And he was busting them, and they was smacking him. And next day he had bruises all up and down his arm. That's just the way it was. And this is one I'll never forget. We were getting ready to play Murfreesboro Riverdale for the district championship. We'd already beat our tough rival Cookville, and we're always on Monday we'd go out in shorts and shoulder pads, and then on Tuesdays, Wednesday we would hit.
Yeah.
And we got dressed and went to the old practice field down there, and we never practiced we never went to the game field unless it was day before and then on the game. But we went down to that old practice field, and we was all dressed out, and he blew the whistle, and he said, "Get off this blank field right here." and everybody looked around, and he blowed that whistle again and again, and I told everybody, I told Bobby Helen Rankin, I said, "Let's go." and we went on up there, and the kids quiet, got dressed. They got out of the dressing room, and Gary Rankin and Bobby Helen and I was sitting in our dressing room, and he had a dressing room down at the other end. And they said, "Go in there and see what happened." And I said, "I ain't going in there unless y'all gonna go with me." And we went in there, and I said, "Well, Coach, what's going on?" He said, "I just wanted to give them a rest and give them something to think about."
Didn't do anything. Just that's great.
Yeah. And that night, I remember, if I'm correct, Riverdale kicked off to us, and Michael Curtis took it all the way back.
Yeah.
On the first time.
Wow.
The first thing.
Wow.
He was, and back then you had not only football, but you had a lot of good coaches in Warren County.
Yeah.
We had everybody was just close. Everybody was for everybody. Everything was close. You had, you had Bobby Hale, and you had Troy Jones. You had, college. I think, let's see, who else we had then was over there with us. I can't think. Dave Troy and then Leo Davis, they were coaching baseball. And, I'm trying to think.
Man, you've been through so many coaches and seen so many of them, but yeah, that's an incredible, just like you said, Bobby Hale, yourself, Gary Rankin, who is going to be on the Warren County Sports Authority tomorrow night at 5 p.m., and then also with Coach Bobby Newby. That right there, the amount of wins that group ends up having in their respective sports that they coach is, that's Hall of Famers everywhere.
Well, we had around 55 kids.
Yeah.
And there was 4 of us, and the way he had it set up, it was Bobby Hale and Gary Rankin defensively, and I was on the offensive side with him, and that's all you had to worry about.
Yep.
It's kind of like college. You're here's the line. But if something went wrong, he was coming and looking at you. And but he it's like Gary Rankin going here tomorrow night. Gary's done a wonderful job. When he left us, he went back home to Smith County.
Yep.
And, and of course, from Riverdale to Alcola to Chattanooga, where he just recently stepped down. But he's done an outstanding job, and he's knowledgeable. Ain't no question about that.
Yeah.
And but we all had a good time, and, it's different.
Yeah.
And that time, back then, kids are different,
Yeah.
I told somebody one time, I said, Bobby Newby couldn't coach now.
Oh.
Because he would be in their face. He might grab a helmet or something like that,
Yeah.
It's different.
Yeah. Drew Walker said that Sid Fritz did something like that to us my freshman year. He said, when a coach says get off the field, you better move. And then I just got a message that said that maybe, was there a Coach Blankenship that was back in the day that you might have been thinking about as well?
Jimmy Blankenship,
Yeah, okay.
it sure was. Uh-huh.
Yeah, they were saying that might have been one of the coaches that you were
uh-huh.
thinking about.
Well, you had Jimmy Blankenship, you had Paul Mitchell, you had Sam Boyd.
Yeah.
You had a lot of good coaches. When they consolidated schools,
Mm-hmm.
they used to have 6 high schools. When you consolidated schools, they brought a lot of those people in together.
Yeah.
Some of them went to the high school, some of them went to Warren County Junior High.
Yeah.
And they taught and coached, and back then you had to teach, It's I tell you what, but it was good, it taught you a lot.
Yeah.
But I'm thankful that it certainly made it help me a lot.
Yeah. Oh, we got a comment in here where you were talking about the Athletic Den. Don Lowry Wanamaker said, my first boss at Athletic Den where he introduced me to George Strait music in the early 80s, my 7th grade basketball coach, my principal when I was a nurse at WCHS, but most importantly, a friend that was a mentor. Many, many stories could be told, but would incriminate me and others along with him.
I didn't pay her much money to say that.
Nice little testimonial from Dawn in the comment section. Yeah, Coach. So when you said that you were in the school system, you were coaching, also teaching. What all were you teaching back then?
Back then, I was teaching math and language arts.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. That's a different ends of the spectrum. Which ones did you like more?
The math part of it.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
And then as you moved up, you went from you've taught, coached. You're a principal. You've been on the school board. Like, what hat's the toughest to wear when it came all that? Because, I know coaching brings its level of tension. Teaching's obviously tough. Being a principal, leading an entire school stuff. Then you get into public service, and you had to go into election time when it comes to the school board. Which one of those has been the toughest for you?
Well, I'd have to say being principal at Warren County High School.
Mm.
When you're there every day and you get there at a little after 6 in the morning and you stay till it's over, whatever it may be, 9:30, 10 o'clock, being responsible for 1,800 students, X number of faculty members, you never know what's going to come through the door.
Mm.
I went in with one thing in mind every day, safety.
Yep.
I always felt better when I got home and know everybody else got home, especially on a prom or graduation night.
Oh, yeah.
I'd stay up late. I wanted to hope and prayed that none of the kids, got hurt in any manner.
Mm.
But just every day of handling those type of situations with 1,800 kids, making sure they're getting where they're supposed to be, making sure that they're getting the right academics they're supposed to be to the best of their ability.
Yeah.
That's a great thing, Being on the school board, it's a different story. You have to go by what the federal laws, the state laws that says that you have to do. When I first went to the board, I had a lot of great ideals.
Yeah.
But if they bump heads with the federal or the state laws, you can forget it. Mm. And a lot of people don't realize is that a school board member, we set policies, we set the budget, we hire the director. That's the only 3 things that we can do.
Yeah, I'll say one employee.
One employee. And, in every decision you make, as a board member, you're affecting, 0.5, 6,000 kids every day. And, you've got to make, you can't make a decision for this group.
Yeah.
It's got to be for everybody, and as I've run for the board so many times, I've always felt like that the year I decided to run, I always felt like, and talked to a lot of people in McMinnville, Warren County, that the Board of Education needs at least one member that's been in education on that board, male or female.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, it's just like now. You know, you've got I'm supporting Monty Ellis because she's an educator.
Yep.
She started out as a teacher, assistant principal. You know, that's who I'm supporting now because I feel like an educator needs to be on the board.
Yeah, and there's District 1 seat.
District 1 seat.
That's open again that Monty Hill is to be running for.
You know,
Mr.
and
Bennett has filled for. You had that for how long have you been in that seat?
Well, when I leave at the end of August, I've been there 12 years.
I was going to say, yeah.
And I've been in that 12 years. I've been in the system. Was in the system for 38 years. So education for 50 years has been good to me.
Nice.
That's older than you are.
Well, I was going to say you were talking about being being principal at the high school. What was your first year that you took over at the high school? Because I want to feel like you came in during my tenure at the high school.
I come in 2002.
Okay, yep.
George Bolden retired.
Yeah, George Bolden
and I come
retired.
in 2002.
Yep.
And I used to think, when I went down there, I thought, well, of course, I'd been at Marson for 8 years as a principal, and I came down there, and I thought, well, here are the things that I want to get done every day.
Yeah.
I used to come in and I have 5 things I'd like to get done every day. Then it turned out to be I'd like to get one thing done every day, you know. And, you know, it's like being in the summer. There's so much goes on that I would, summer school and everything like that. My vacation time would be I'd take a half a day off in the summer, go just get away from school. Because most of the time that'd be the only time I missed school was sick.
Yeah.
But other than that, in the 9 years I was there, and I'm proud that of the 9 years I was there, I worked with a great faculty. The school board was good to me. The directors were good to me. I just really was tickled to be there. And, you know, when you are making the final decision for everybody, it don't sit well sometimes. No. You know, and sometimes it's hard to tell a parent that your child did this because they don't want to believe that.
No, never.
And you know, never.
Yeah,
but when
not my sweet angel.
Yeah, not just exactly right. You know, it's tough, boy. But that's what you have to do when you coached. It's just like coaching. When you accept a job, that you got to take the knocks that comes with it.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah, it's not always going to be sunshine and rainbows, and you're gonna have to defend your position, and you're gonna have to make the call, and when you have to explain your reasoning, and you have to go with it. But yeah, I was gonna say George Bolden was at the high school when I come in, and I thought I was gonna say I think I was shaking your hand on the way out.
Yeah.
In 04.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
That's right.
Yeah, you were. The thing about it to me is I was thinking about my days in the student. I was like, I don't know if I ever had any interaction with the principal, but it's like, as long as you're not usually in trouble, I don't think you're going to have a lot of interactions
No, you
with
don't.
the principal.
And you know,
Thankfully.
you're not only a principal,
Yeah.
but you're a helper.
Yeah.
You want to help the faculty, and you want to help the kids. You know, and I always had an open door policy.
Yeah.
And I always told the kids that. And I remember I was sitting there one morning at 6:15, and this girl walked in.
Yeah.
And she said, I need to see you. And I said, okay. And she sat down, and she's a junior. And she looked at me, and she said, I'm hungry. And that just hit me with a bass in the face. I mean, this is just part of being a principal, is what I'm trying to say. And I took that girl, and I took care of her.
Yeah.
But that told me that they were listening to what I was saying. I'm here for you if you want something. I'll help you any way I can. Now, did some of them have to? It was a tough call on some of them, and and I've said, don't come in here again, or I'm gonna have to do this. And they come again, and they got busted. But that's part of it. It's just like when you're coaching, you want to teach the proper things, and but that's part of it.
Yeah, I mean, how, like you just said, having the open door policy and having to deal with a tough situation but also knowing that they trust you enough to come in there and be vulnerable and tell you what's going on meant the world. We have a comment in here from Ryan Tackett that says, I may or may not have been the best student, and I had to go to this man's office a lot, daily. But I have the utmost respect for this man because no matter what, he was always fair to me and treated me like a human being. I may not have known it then, but he was trying to guide me in the right direction. And Don Lowry says that he fed so many students when, it's just, I think it's part of the, they always say when they spell principal, for the teaching aspect, it's pal at the end. Out there, I mean, you had to be, in some aspects, you want to be their pal, but you also have to be a leader of everybody.
It's like your players that you coach. You go back and you see your players that after years, and they're adults now, and they have their own families and their own kids and everything. But the greatest thing you know is that they know you.
Yes.
That they'll talk to you. They'll call you coach. That's respect. And I always said one thing, and you know this as a coach yourself, you always have to gain respect to get it. And I think that's really important. Yeah. People need to know that you have people that respect you.
Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head. Sullins and I were having that conversation not too long ago when Coach Kyle came in and was here, and then a couple of his players actually met us after we went out after the show to eat. And they were just as respectful to him then as they probably were when he was coaching. And I told Sullins, I said, I think that's your legacy right there. I said, whether or not you have a connection with the players that Coach Kyle has been gone for 20-something years.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that was probably right. Yeah. You were probably having to find his replacement back then.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that might have been one of the first parts of your job. But, I mean, that's that like you said, just the fact that they'll call you coach, or they can steal 20, 30, like a guy like Ryan Tackett, that's in here talking about you.
But,
that's awesome.
It's like when you replace coaches, that's hard to do.
Yeah.
And I'll say this, and this is, I always get tickled about this, but out of respect. Every time our head football job come open, the calls I would get, call Rankin. And I would, and Rankin would say, no thanks.
That's a great segue, because we have him coming in tomorrow night. Like you said, you coached with him.
Yeah.
Did you see 11 state championships in a row, 500 wins? Like, was that surprising to you, or did you say, hey, you could kind of tell when you coached with him, this guy was going to be something?
He would, every day in practice, you could tell he would stay that extra mile and make his defensive backs do those extra drills and stuff, And some of the rest of the kids maybe had gone in the house. But he's thorough. He wanted us to be successful. He wanted them to be successful. And turns out he's successful.
Yeah. Oh, there's no surprise with what he's been able to do. But again, you just said that. So you've been a part of coaching searches, either through being the principal, perhaps being like maybe a liaison from the school board. What's it like that people don't? What is it the process that people don't know about? Because the things that we think is just like, y'all put the job out, they come in, they get hired. But there has to been times when y'all made offers and then people backtrack or stuff like that. I mean, what's it like when you're in the room trying to bring in a new football coach or baseball coach or basketball coach?
I remember one time I made an offer to T.J. Christian. You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
He lives in Tullahoma, but he's coaches at Moore County.
Yep.
They were successful. And I remember when he played for us.
Yep. And
I remember he played at Tech, and we were looking for an assistant coach, and Andy Jacobs was the athletic director at that time, and we brought TJ in, and we talked to him, and I told him, I said, well, what's it going to take for me to get you here? And same way what I did with Bobby Luna. Bobby Luna applied for a job, and I said, what do you need? What do you want? And you have to find out what their needs and wants are, and how serious are they. It's like I waited on Bobby Luna for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And finally I said, you got to tell me something, Bobby. And of course, he stayed where he's at, which is fine. Galveston's a great place.
Yeah, he built the
And,
legacy
and
up there.
TJ stayed at Moore County.
Yeah.
But, you want us to, as a principal, I wanted to surround myself with the best people that I can find.
Yeah.
Because if I knew, it's like I tell you what, it's like when I hired coaches.
Mm-hmm.
I said, you have a job to teach and you have a job to coach. Don't be putting your coaching in your teaching.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I don't have time to correct you. I have a job myself.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to hire you, I expect you to do your job as teaching and a job as a coach. Now, if you got problems, you come see me. I'm here.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of, and people look at that. You have to check backgrounds. You have to go the whole 9 yards. If you get out there and you hire a person and you hadn't checked out a background, look out. You might get hit in the face with a pie. You don't know it's coming.
You might have a reporter go back do the background check
Uh-huh,
for you. You never want.
Yeah. And the first thing you're going to get is public comment. Well, why didn't you check his background? Where did you get him from?
Yeah, you didn't do a Google search?
You've been on the sidelines. You've heard it from the stands.
Oh, yeah, we were talking about that last night. I think we actually even put a clip out right before the show started where we were talking about that. It's so funny to me when, we're all coaches. We all do it. We're like, you don't hear anything from the stands. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Now, you ignore it, and you're never going to address it, but you hear it.
Yeah, you hear it.
It's actually, to me, sometimes it's just really funny because I'm just like, y'all have no clue what you're up there saying. But
before I came to principal at Morrison or at high school, I still was at junior high, and I was working high school basketball and small college women's, and I was very fortunate. I got to work the finals of the girls' state tournament, and I got to work the boys' state tournament. And back then, you got to see athletes as what they were then, how dedication they are. You as a coach, or Simmons or anybody else now, you have to push your kids, and you have to go over. I learned something that I may get on you during practice, and I mean bad. But at the end of practice, I got to find you, and I got to give you something positive to leave on.
Yeah.
And good coaches will do that.
Yeah. I tell them all the time that, even the kids that we coach right now, and they give me a hard time. They're like, Jeff yells or he's loud or stuff like that. Yeah. But I always tell them, it's like, if I'm going to if I'm going to correct you or we're going to be really, or vocal about it, I was like, 9 times out of 10 it's going to be in practice. And then we'll talk about it after that. I was like, but in games, it's just instructional. I was like, because I was like, the biggest thing that I'm not going to embarrass you in front of your friends and family. I was like, when we're in practice and it's just us, we'll be like, hey, you got to do better. But I'm not going to do that. I'm like, when your mom or your dad's out there, they're not going to want to see it. Because you don't want to see that.
Yeah, we used to have a group that came to practice. A lot of dads came to practice, down there on old practice field. But they stand over on that one shade tree and they never opened their mouth because I know they heard a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes it wasn't good a lot either,
Oh, no, I'm sure they were hearing a lot of instruction.
Yeah, a lot of instruction. You got it, Yeah. But I'm telling you, it's those type of situations. I go back and I think about the big games, and it's like when we were playing Oak Ridge, and that game was for us who went to the finals of the AAA. Back then it was single A, double A, and triple A, and we ran that ball, and that ball was heading half in the end zone and half out, and they didn't signal touchdown, and Oak Ridge wound up beating us, and we went in the dressing room, and it was like a morgue, because they had played their hearts out, and it was, when you get in those type of games, and you and I was talking before I came in here about the championship games that y'all had played and knowing, and I knew then when I went in there, they were not only disgusted, but they were worn out because they'd give everything they'd give. And I actually went out that night, and I'll tell you this, I went out that night and I went to Bobby Newby. I said, you got to go in that dressing room right now. I said, I'm not the head coach, but you got to go in there and you got to say something to these kids and get them on this bus so we can go home. And he did. And, And you know, those were the type of kids in those days that if you said something negative about a coach, you better get ready to fight.
Yeah.
You know, that's the way it is. I mean, that's just the way it was.
You know, as you say that, what do you think about the layout that we're going through anymore now? The landscape of the TSSAA and all the things that are going on now. I mean, what as you see it and see coaches have to navigate it, school systems having to navigate it. What are your thoughts on these transfers and in six classifications and non-regions and regions and all these different things? Like what are you when you look at that, do you just think, man, we've maybe lost the plot, or do you feel like it's
called money?
Money.
It's sad now. We're getting into like collegiate. If let's go over here. Let me go over here and get Jeff Simmons.
Yeah.
He's a great offensive tackle. I want him on our high school football team next year. I come over here and I tell your parents and you, and I give you that pitch in your living room in your house, and they said, yeah, we'll do it. Used to you had to move and set up and provide everything that you did, or you couldn't play.
Yeah.
But that thing, I just don't believe in the transfer. I think it's going to really, down the road, kill a lot of college athletics because of money.
Yep.
And don't get me wrong, I think players should be paid something.
Yep.
I mean, when I was at Middle Tennessee and was a trainer at Middle Tennessee and associated with the football and the baseball and the basketball programs, they got, laundry money, but it was nothing like it is today, And I mean, but I think that I wish that we would get back to where everybody has an opportunity, has a chance.
Yeah.
Don't go out and buy players and win you a championship.
Yeah.
If you're any kind of coach at all, you want to do it with what you have.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember having the first time that we've kind of started doing this when we weren't in the nice Studio 605 sponsored, and having a show sponsored by Mud Bums Family Sports Grill. Again, 507-2867. You can call them. They're open right now. You can head over there and have lunch right now. I remember, like Matt Turner was coaching then, and he gave an impassioned speech, and him and Chris Sullins both were talking about how they were winning with Warren County kids. And now all of a sudden, you go to some of these places and they're winning championships, and they're like, where did that kid come from? Where did he go to? He, didn't really grow up there, but he just kind of showed up in junior, senior year, and those things happen But now you look at it and you're like, it would be nice to see a Warren County built team go win championships for Warren County.
Well, if you go back and you think, and we're going to go back here a minute, I am.
Oh, go ahead.
But if you go back, and I'll use basketball as an example. Mm-hmm. If you go back to the days of Rick Insel at Shelbyville Central High School.
Yep.
Rick came from Woodbury. He coached in Woodbury at an elementary school and went to Shelbyville. And when he started winning, parents started moving to Shelbyville because they wanted their kid to be on a championship team.
Yep.
Get a job down there, He had influence. I'm not going to say anything that he did that.
Yeah.
But I'm saying as parents want their kids on the championship team. Mm-hmm. It's like watching our kids here. People have to understand in Warren County, they're doing the best they can with what we have.
Yep.
We're not cheating. We're not begging people to come in and play, or we're not paying money. That's the coaches are coaching with what we have. Do I wish we were always winning in boys and girls basketball or football or baseball or soccer or track or golf or tennis or flag football? Yep. That's the key thing right now. If we can do it with what we have and build on it, and I think the more we get involved with our youth programs and our elementary school programs.
Yes, sir.
When I was coaching as freshman football coach, back then we had the JC football leagues. I don't know if you remember those or not.
It's been a while.
A while.
Yeah.
But I would go on Saturdays and I would stand outside the fence and I'd watch all of those play.
Yep.
Because I wanted them to know that I was interested in those kids.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we have to do now. And besides teaching fundamentals.
Yeah.
That's the thing that I see a lot. We need to teach fundamentals.
Yeah, I think the more that I get, the older I get, and the more that I get involved in it and hear coaches all the time, and you start thinking back to what you just said was when it was going as successful as it could possibly have been. And look, you had defining success in some aspects is we just had a pretty solid year in Warren County athletics from 24-25. Now, did we win a state championship? No. As a team, now Luke Saldana won a state championship with our track program, which we'd love to have a track, and we can talk about that here in a second. But I just think that, as you just said, it's going to take a community of people to do this. I mean, we think about so many times. You just said it. You were coaching, but you were over there in the youth. Like the coaches, that high school coaches can only do so much. They're doing exactly what you just said. They're doing everything they can with what they have. The community has to come back in and support this, and sometimes you have to do it not just for yours. You have to do it for all to help out everybody when it comes down to it. And as Coach Chris Sullins just said, in the community, you've been doing this because you appreciate the years of service. Coach Bennett at so many different levels and positions. I mean, you put your money where your mouth was. And like you said, 50 years in education, and you've done it at every single level that you possibly could.
Well, when you start out at the bottom, you got to head to the top.
Yeah.
And you got to work to get there.
Yeah.
And if you work to get there, it's just like coaching. If you work to get there, people will notice who you are. Players will notice who you are. Players will respect you. People will respect you.
Absolutely.
And I think that's things that we don't want. We don't need to give up on our athletes in this county.
Yeah.
We need to do what we can to help every one of them. You might see a kid down here in 8th grade, and all of a sudden when he gets in high school, he's a great player.
Yep.
That's one thing I remember about Charlie Dalton.
Yep.
Charlie Dalton, who coached our freshman boys, he would find kids that nobody else wanted and work with them and make them better players. And that's one thing I'd always attribute to him. I'd see him, and I just always I wondered about his knowledge of what he had. Of course, he was an All-American, but but he knew the game.
Yeah.
Charlie Dalton knew the game. Anybody that played for him will tell you that he knew what he was talking about.
Yeah, and like you said too, also going over there and making sure that they find a kid, find an athlete, make them into a player when they have the skill sets there. Courtney Bennett in the comment section, you might know her. She's telling stories. One of the best James Bennett stories I have, and I have a lot of them, says, James and I were standing in the butcher shop getting lunch one Friday this summer when a lady walked up and told me about rolling James's yard at Halloween when he lived at Mud Creek. She said that James had climbed up in the tree and had the water hose and was spraying them. She was laughing and telling me how much they loved him hosing them when they showed up to roll his yard. Now, I guess that's one of the perks of being a principal and educator. You're gonna get your yard rolled. I get mine rolled every September.
I did. They did that, and I rolled out the hose and climbed up in the tree and waved on them. And when they were up there talking and wondering, well, where's he at? We can't see him. And I let them have it.
I will say, folks, just out in light of everything that's been going on lately, watch what you're doing when you're rolling people's yards. It's nothing don't be malicious out there when you're out there. But last thing that I wanted to ask you as we wrap up today, you're going to be done in August. And you'll be your final time with in the school system. In the next 4 years, whoever is on the school board or whoever is in education, what's going to be the biggest thing that you think pops up in the next 4 years that they're going to have to make decisions for?
Well, they'll have to always look to continue to improve and work on making sure we're safe. Mm-hmm. And it's that plus the budget. If you lose kids to private schools or homeschools or whatever, that takes money out of the system. I hope we never get to the point like a system I know of now, and I'm not going to call it who it is. They're having to lay off teachers because they've lost kids.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and that's a sad situation. It's part of the voucher program that they've taken and run, and I think that that's what they're going to continue. They're going to face renovations of schools. They're going to face down the road if they can find the money. Not right now. You mentioned track a minute ago.
Yep.
They're going to build that track.
Yep.
And they're going to build a tennis courts.
Yep.
And that's something I'm proud of that they're going to be able to do, because I would love to have had a track and a tennis court when I was principal there.
Oh yeah.
Because we used a civic center.
Yep.
We used to have to go over there, but now the track is outdated and it's not big enough.
Yeah.
And and I think down the road they're going to have to look at if they can ever find the money at putting them over there.
Okay.
And I did a survey at 10,000 responses, and it was, you'd have 50 come in and said don't build it, and 50 come in and said build it. It went just back and forward. But it was interesting to me to see what their comments were. You have people that were grown up and went to the old high school when it was over there before we come here, and they're loyal to Nundy Stadium.
Yep.
And we looked at when I was there, Andy Jacobs and I looked at what it would cost to build a stadium, and it was more money than we had then, because our budget wasn't like anything else, and related to the school system then, they didn't have the money to build it.
No.
And it would take, if they ever decide to build, you're looking at building a stadium over here, you're probably looking at a minimum estimate of $30 million.
That's why I've heard anywhere between 25 and 30 million multiple times, and now it might even be bumping up because cost ain't going down on that one. And I know that I know last Friday when Warren first did their public forum, the thought of the stadium was brought up. Monty and Nikki, who are challenging for the District 1 seat that you'll be vacating, gave their answer. But Chris Cope, who's been on the board and has been in that seat before, he said it point blank. He goes, this is not just going to be a school system decision. It's going to be a county commission decision, because the funding's not going to come straight out of the budget that's in the school system, because he just said it and you just said it. You don't have $30 million laying around and say, all right, well, now we'll build a football stadium.
It was like it kind of got out there that we had money to build it. Well, we don't. When you start, it's like right now, this high school's going to have a roof on it.
Yep.
There ain't no telling how many millions that's going to cost to put a roof on that high school.
Yep.
And people don't understand. We have to, if you're on the board, you have to look at the overall picture. You have to keep your schools up to date.
Yep.
If you don't, you're going to be, getting bigger, and we'd even looked at, one time, we thought about looking at one time of making Hickory Creek a 9th grade.
Yep.
And
making it like an academy. Yeah.
And go down the road and put an elementary school down there. But we don't have the money, because that time was we were looking at, because we were trying to alleviate the population in the high school. Had more than we wanted to have there.
Yeah. Do you think that there will ever be a time where they build another high school? I mean, I know that we consolidated into Warren County High School back in '69. Do you think there will ever be a time?
I don't think it'll be in my time.
Yeah.
I really don't.
Yeah.
I mean, you go back to years ago when at City and Central, and I was played at City, and played on that Nundy Stadium field over there, and of course Central was over where Bobby Ray was, but I don't think we'll ever go to people understand, and I know we're probably getting close to quitting, but but people don't understand, if we split the schools up, then you still have to go into a division where there's tough teams.
Yeah.
If we went down, for an example, and I'm just using this as an example, if we went down and had the same numbers of that Alcola did, for example, then every year we might have had a good football team, but if you got in the playoffs, you had to get through Alcola to get to the state championship.
Yeah.
Boy, that's been pretty tough.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
And then also, not only that, but now you're talking about if you split them, then all of a sudden you're splitting the athletes in sports that, let's be honest, it's not like we have overwhelming participation in football to where you're saying, oh, we got enough kids to have 2 football teams. Not in my times. I've been here for 16 years. I've been doing sports coverage for 16 years. I might think of twice where we would have been able to have more than 80 kids in the football program at the high school.
Right.
Now all of a sudden you talk about the potential of splitting those two. That'd be tough. Now, if you told me that we're going to build some school where we have no athletics at all and we co-op, maybe. But then all of a sudden it's like, are we going? I don't know if we're going to ever build a high school for the idea of. And this is something that this might be where we end. How influential do you even feel like athletics should be when it's making a wholesale school system decision? Because I mean, sometimes it's a sports guy. That's the first thing I think of. And as an old coach, I'm sure you think about that a lot. But there's a lot of people in the community that plain old are just like, look, man, I don't want y'all spending. If you've got 30, 40, 50 million to spend, it should be going into teacher salaries and education, and in the classroom, we're not really worried about a football field.
I'm proud to say that since I've been when I came on the board, I promised that safety would be number one with me 12 years ago when I started.
Yep.
I promised my constituents, I said, or the people of Warren County, I said, safety is number one. Number two is teachers. I want to pay them all I can pay them because they deserve every penny they can get. Some of them work 2 and 3 extra jobs. It depends on the side of the family. People don't see that. Then it's academics. Then it's athletics, and it goes on down the line. You know, you have to take a look at the whole picture. And, you know, I think that when you get there, you have to, if you set it down a combination, you take me and you, and you take us, and we're athletic minded, and we go sit down with some business people in McMinnville, and whatever business they may be in, where it's nursery or corporations or whatever, banks, etc. And are they going to be willing to spend $30 million to build a new stadium? And you know, and especially if you are on the school board. I just use your example. If you were on the school board and you come up and you say, okay, I'd like to build that stadium, but I got to spend $5 million at Dibble. I've got to spend $7 million at Irving College, and so on, and you start adding those up, and then you've got to, you know, you've got to keep 1/3 of your budget to make sure you don't go
the rainy days.
Rainy days in case something really, really happens. You know, you have to think about all of that, and it's would I like to see us have the best facilities in the world? Absolutely. Would I like to see a tartan turf field? Absolutely. But when you start putting in a tartan turf field, you probably are talking $500,000 or more. You know, people they looked at that one time back when the late Gerald Tidwell. He wanted to put a tartan turf on the Nunley Stadium. And it was like $350,000 in, just to put that down there. And I mean, and then you know you got to maintain it. You got to buy equipment to maintain it. But it's a big thing, and you know. And I'll say this, and I'm happy and proud that I've had the opportunity that I've had as a person. Education's been great to me, where it was in college or high school. But Warren County education has been great to me. I'm thrilled that I've had the opportunity to work with great people, where they were just individuals or teachers or whatever they all were. And, you know, I have no regrets about what I've done or what I've said. And, you know, and sometimes just straightforward person, you know, and sometimes people don't like that, but that's okay. But I just want to express my appreciation to you and to Chris and whoever else it may be for having an opportunity to come here, and also my appreciation to y'all for y'all carrying on the athletics and keep boosting it and keep pushing it. I think that's very important. And, you know, you have a variety of people that come on here, and that's good too. But it's, you know, one thing I think about your program, you're open and you're honest. That's why I like to watch it.
I appreciate that.
And you know, and you know, and I don't know, you never control Sullins, you know.
No, never control Sullins. But no, we really appreciate that. Yeah, it's as you said, you're never going to make everybody happy, But I think everybody has the same idea when we talk about it. When we get behind these mics on the Warren County Sports Authority, and I know people are thinking, "Man, y'all brought up controversial stuff," or y'all. I was like, we want to. I said, there's a lot of things that just this community wants to hear about, and you got to talk about them. And I think you said the same thing. I think you've always been pretty transparent about, hey, I'll talk about it. You might not like what I say about it, but we're going to talk about it.
It's just like being on the school board.
Yeah.
There's sometimes the decisions have to be made. I don't necessarily agree, and I might vote against it, but that's what I'm there for.
Yep.
To vote against what I've researched it, and I've researched what we're doing, and I have to, and if I'm not happy with it, I'm not going to vote for it. That's just the way it is. But that's part of being, what people don't realize is being on the school board is making the decisions that's tough, and making the decision that affects every child, every household in Warren County. It's just like when I was principal. I was over a little city over there. That's what I used to call it, the little city.
Yep.
And that's about what it is,
Yeah.
And it's good or bad, And have we, our education, are we where we should be? No. But we're improving. We're going further. We have school improvements every year, and we're working hard on it.
Yeah.
And I commend the teachers and the principals because they're on the front lines. Man, there ain't nothing more like being on the front lines like they are.
Yeah.
And when you went to school, there was teachers that you thought the world of and still do today.
Absolutely.
And that's it's just like me. If I seen my teachers today, I'd still be respectful, and I'd say yes or no, sir, because that's the way I was taught.
Yep.
But that's what some people just don't understand, that what goes all into the board, to running a school, to coaching, it all goes down. It's all partnered together.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you coming in, and glad to see you out and about and moving around. Everybody, I know there were some people that were praying for you and making sure that your health's going good, but it seems like you're happy and healthy right now.
Well, I'm happy and healthy. I've been going to a great rehab at River Park.
Yep.
And they have a great rehab program, and thank God that I'm here, and my wife hadn't killed me yet, but that could happen any day. But but I am thankful, and I'll say this: if in all honesty, if it hadn't been for my wife recognizing my symptoms, I would not be on earth today. And I'm thankful for her, and I'm just thankful that God put me back here.
Oh, well, we're thankful for that as well here on the Simmons Says Show. And just, Coach, man, we appreciate you so much. And we'll also pass along, I'm sure Gary Rankin will be in the house tomorrow night, so might have to get share some words with him as well.
Well, that'd be great, and I'll be watching.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. Again, too, we'll be back tomorrow, 5 p.m., Warren County Sports Authority, Studio 605, a show that you're not going to want to miss. Simmons Says, sponsored by presenting sponsor, Mud Bums Family Sports Grill, 507-2867. Go get those lunch specials right now. Got the meat and 3, or you can go get the $10 lunch specials, chicken tenders, hamburgers, barbecue sandwiches. All right, we'll be back tomorrow.
Against me, boys, it's an organized assault. I found a heads-up penny, threw it in the well, but my luck, it ain't changed yet. And I just lit the wrong end of my laugh.